I remember the sound first. The sharp, crackling staccato of gunfire slicing through the air. Too close, too constant. Each shot wasn't just a sound. It was a punch to the chest, a reminder that death was choosing targets. The screams weren't far behind, raw, panicked, and short-lived. Some didn't even finish before the mortars answered. The earth convulsed under my boots, sending up clouds of dust and blood and broken stone. The village was already gone. What had once been homes, walls lined with photos and hopes, were now twisted skeletons of brick and fire. Smoke curled into the ash-gray sky like ghosts, clawing for one last breath. We were supposed to be clearing the area. Routine sweep, Intel said. Nothing routine about this. I was running. Not away, but in. Heart pounding so hard it was all I could hear. My legs moved before my brain caught up. Boot soles sliding across rubble, leaping over a fallen beam that hissed red-hot from a fresh hit. My breath tore through my throat like broken glass. I ducked, rolled behind a charred husk of a vehicle, peered out. That's when I saw him. Commander Richard Hale. He was pinned beneath part of a collapsed wall, his leg twisted unnaturally, blood pooling in the dust beneath him. His face, I'll never forget that face. Not just pain, shock, disbelief. Not because he was hit, but because I was the one coming for him. I had every reason to leave him. He never looked at me without some layer of contempt. Never said my name unless barking an order. Private. You. Boy. Always laced with something unspoken, something heavy. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. I burst from cover. Gunfire snapped past me like wasps. I weaved through the open, zigzagging, praying, my mind blank, body on fire. The whole world narrowed to that moment, just me and the man who'd made my life hell. A round exploded a foot from me, dirt and shrapnel raining down. I dropped beside him hard, knees scraping rock, grabbed his vest, and shouted, "Hold on, sir!" His eyes, blue and bloodshot, locked onto mine. They weren't filled with orders anymore. Just fear. Just need. And in that split second, something cracked. Not just between us, but inside me. All the resentment, the anger, the quiet humiliation. It didn't matter anymore. Not when a man's life was bleeding out in front of me. I wrapped his arm over my shoulder, braced my legs. He cried out as we moved, and I grit my teeth. Gunfire chased us as I dragged him toward cover, every step a fight against gravity and death. Time slowed. My lungs screamed. My back felt like it would snap under his weight. But we moved. I remember the warmth of his blood seeping into my shirt. I remember his whisper, soft, hoarse. Why? You. I didn't answer. Because I didn't do it for him. I did it because I refused to become like him. We collapsed behind a shattered wall, both of us gasping, coughing through the smoke. And for the first time, he didn't look at me like a soldier beneath him. He looked at me like a man who'd been saved. By someone he'd never imagined would bother. Let me take you back to where it all began. 2 months ago. I hadn't even unpacked my duffel before I knew. This wasn't going to be a fight, just against some foreign enemy in the hills. No. There was another war waiting for me right inside the wire. A colder one. One that didn't come with warning shots or battle plans. Camp Reddington. A speck on the edge of nowhere. Dust thick as fog, sun like a hammer. It sat crouched behind miles of barbed wire, like it was hiding from the world. And maybe it was. The second I stepped off the transport truck, I felt it. That weight in the air. Like the heat wasn't just from the desert, but from 1,000 stares burning into me. No one said anything at first. They didn't have to. Silence has a way of speaking loud when it's pointed. My boots hadn't even settled in the dirt when I met him. Commander Richard Hale. He was standing there with a clipboard in hand, flanked by 2 other officers. I walked up, snapped a salute, spine straight. He didn't salute back, just stared at my name patch like it said something wrong. Something out of place. "Private Brooks," he said, like it was a bitter taste. Didn't shake my hand, didn't ask where I trained, didn't care that I graduated top of my class in infantry, or that I volunteered when I could have sat safe behind a desk. No, I could see it in his eyes. To him, I wasn't a soldier. I was a box checked on some diversity report. A formality. A symbol. Nothing more. The base followed his lead. I was the ghost at every table. The last picked for drills, if I was picked at all. I ate alone, slept in a corner bunk like I belonged on the edge. You could feel it in every chuckle that stopped when I walked by. Every joke that had just ended. Every conversation that shifted the second I got close. Then, there was Morris. He made sure I heard it. First night, while I was settling in, he leaned just close enough and said to no one in particular, "Let's see how fast he runs when the bullets start flying." Loud enough for me to hear. Quiet enough to pretend it wasn't meant for me. I didn't say anything, just kept folding my uniform. But it cut. It cut deep. Not because I was afraid of proving him wrong, but because I knew. No matter what I did, some minds were already made up, set like concrete. Still, I stayed silent, kept my head down. I cleaned my rifle till it gleamed, ran drills till my hands blistered, took every night watch no one else wanted. I didn't talk back, didn't complain. I did the job like I was born for it. And Commander Hale? He never saw it, never looked past the surface, never asked me for my take on a mission, even when I spotted intel the others missed. Never said, "Good job," never gave me a nod. He'd walk past me like I was part of the wall. Sometimes he'd hand a task to rookies half as prepared, while I stood right there with my boots laced and my gear ready. He wasn't angry at me. He didn't need to be. It was worse than that. He was indifferent, and indifference is colder than hate. But I didn't sign up to make friends. I signed up to serve, to protect the ones next to me, whether they wanted me there or not. Still, every morning I laced up, every evening I lay awake under the stars. I carried it, that feeling like I had to earn the right to stand among them. Not because I hadn't bled for this flag, but because one man, the man leading us, couldn't see me as anything but a problem in his unit. And maybe, part of me started to believe it too. Only one person ever looked me in the eye like I belonged there. Sergeant Maria Alvarez, tough as nails, with a scar running down her left cheek, like a roadmap to some battle she didn't talk about. She never said much either, but when she did, it landed hard and true. "Hale's a fossil," she said once during night watch. "Some of us are here to dig him out." I never knew if that was a warning or a promise. But in that moment, I knew I wasn't entirely alone. Later that week, I started writing it all down. In a journal I kept folded into my bunk. Every slight, every cold shoulder. Not to complain, just to remember. Just in case someone needed proof that what I felt was real. One day, the platoon was assigned to secure a village rumored to be a key supply line for the enemy. They said it was a routine mission. Just another sweep of another village. Burned out shells of homes. Livestock long gone. The air thick with smoke and nerves. But something felt off from the moment we got the orders. The village was positioned along a known enemy supply route. And everyone knew it wasn't just a pit stop. It was a trap waiting to be sprung. I found out about the mission secondhand. Commander Hale never included me in the recon briefings. Didn't call my name when details were shared. I only knew because Alvarez slipped me a copy of the map and whispered, "Watch your six." That was her way of saying she still had my back, even when no one else did. We rolled out before sunrise, the kind of morning where the fog sticks to your face and every shadow looks like it's watching. Hale led the squad, barking orders with that usual edge in his voice, but never once looked in my direction. It didn't matter. I'd stopped expecting acknowledgement from him. But when night fell and we started our sweep, I saw it. The tripwires tucked beneath broken fence posts. The unnatural silence that meant something was waiting, just out of view. I signaled quietly, pointed out the setup. My warning saved us from walking into a nest of IEDs. Morris looked at me for the first time without that smirk on his face. Alvarez gave me a slight nod. "Hale?" He just ordered us forward, like it never happened. A few days later, everything shifted. It started with Alvarez pulling Hale aside after a debrief. I wasn't close enough to hear everything, but I caught enough. She was sharp, direct. Called him out. Told him the way he treated me wasn't just unfair. It was dangerous, that it undermined the whole team. Hale didn't flinch, just gave that tight smile he reserved for moments when he didn't care to hide what he really thought. "Some people," he said, loud enough for me to hear, "don't belong in command, and some don't belong in uniform." That was the warning shot. Then came the theft. Someone had reported missing comms gear from supply. Alvarez and I had been on patrol when it went missing, but that didn't stop the rumors. By nightfall, whispers turned to stares. Then Hale called me into his office. He didn't accuse me outright, but he didn't need to. Just asked where I'd been, how long I had access, who could vouch for me. He didn't even write anything down, just stared. I realized in that moment, he wasn't looking for answers. He was looking for confirmation. Alvarez tried to speak on my behalf. She told the brass we'd been logged on watch duty miles away. But the stink stuck anyway. The next morning, someone had written "thief" in chalk across my bunk. I scrubbed it off. Didn't say a word. I could feel the weight of Hale's silence pressing harder than any accusation. I thought about putting in for a transfer. Thought about walking away before they found a way to send me home in a body bag and call it an accident. Alvarez found me staring at the request form, pen in hand. She didn't try to talk me out of it. Just said, "If you leave, he wins." I didn't submit it. Not because I still believed in the system, but but because I believed in the guys I shared the dirt with, the ones who were starting to see me, really see me. Not all of them, not even most, but enough. Then came the final mission. We were to move on intel suggesting the village we swept had been reoccupied. It felt wrong from the jump. Too quiet, too fast. I intercepted chatter on a local frequency, talk of movement, of incoming reinforcements. I brought it to Hale. He didn't even let me finish. "You think you're in charge now?" he asked, standing over me. "You don't bring me intel, you follow orders." And that was it. No backup called, no recon shift. We were going in blind, the kind of blind that gets people killed. I loaded my rifle and prayed the chatter was wrong, but I knew it wasn't. They say the minutes before a firefight stretched longer than the firefight itself. I felt every second of that dawn. The mission was set. We were to move in on the village just past the ravine. Intel said it was a ghost town, but my gut screamed otherwise. Hale stood before the squad, barking orders, like always, his tone cold, precise. He never looked my way once, not even when I stepped forward after the briefing, holding the translation notes I'd made from intercepted local chatter. "There's movement in the tree line beyond checkpoint Bravo," I said, quiet but firm. "Locals say the insurgents pulled back last night. They're baiting us in." He didn't even glance at the pages. "You think you're in charge now, Brooks?" he asked, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Stay in your lane." I should have backed off, but I couldn't. I looked him in the eye and said, "Sir, with respect, we're walking into a trap." He stared at me like I'd just insulted his entire bloodline. Then he turned his back, just like that. "We move at 0600. Dismissed." And so we did. We marched in under a rising sun, the light turning everything gold and false. Quiet. Too quiet. I was posted rear guard with Alvarez. She kept glancing toward the ridge, tense. 10 minutes in, she whispered, "They're here. I feel it." She was right. The first shot came from the east, then another from the west. Sniper fire, controlled, precise. We were boxed in before we even realized we'd been herded. Chaos broke out. Hale was shouting orders, contradictory ones. A rookie froze up, and Hale screamed in his face instead of pulling him behind cover. Alvarez and I flanked left, clearing a path back toward the ridge, dragging wounded with us. That's when I saw Hale go down, tripped by a blast shockwave, leg twisted, pinned beneath rubble. Bullets were whizzing inches from his head. For a moment I hesitated. For all the times he ignored me, discredited me, tried to break me. Some dark part of me thought maybe I should leave him. Let him lie in the mess he marched us into. But I couldn't. Not because he deserved it, but because someone had to be the better man. Someone had to break the cycle. I dropped my rifle, lunged, and hauled him out of the blast radius. His eyes met mine. Shock, disbelief, and something else. Fear. I don't remember getting hit. Just heat in my shoulder and a wave of red across my vision. Alvarez covered us, barking into her comms. Reinforcements arrived minutes later. Longest minutes of my life. They medevaced us both. I spent 2 weeks in the base hospital, shoulder wrapped, head spinning. Hale was in the room next to mine. The nurses said he didn't talk much. Pride wounded more than the body. One afternoon he came in, limping, no salute, no pretense, just stood at the edge of my bed and said, "You didn't have to come for me." I looked at him. I know. He didn't say thank you, not directly. But in that silence, something shifted. Back at camp, the truth about the ambush came out. My notes had been right. Alvarez made sure command saw them. Hale got called in. They didn't demote him, but they reassigned him. Somewhere colder, somewhere quieter. As for me, I stayed. Not for the system, not even for the cause, but for the men beside me, the ones who'd finally started to see me, not as a quota, but as a soldier, a brother. They'll write reports, archive mission logs, talk about strategies and enemy movements, but they'll never capture the war inside the wire, the kind that doesn't show up on satellite feeds or get listed in casualty numbers. They'll never write about men like Hale the way we saw them, and maybe that's for the best. But I will remember every silence that screamed louder than bullets, every stare, every laugh that wasn't shared, every mile I had to run to prove what I already knew, that I belonged, and that some battles are won not with guns, but with grace, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Funny thing about scars, some fade, others just change shape. We're not the same men we were, but we carried the same weight. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's how change begins. Not with noise, but with quiet defiance. Every day, every step. My name is Elijah Brooks. If you are reading this, it means you found my journal. please keep it safe. If this story hit you hard, share it. Someone out there needs to see this. Like, comment, subscribe, and ask yourself, what would you have done in Elijah's boots? Let's keep the conversation going.